You've seen the advice floating around that says, just start, bro. And if you're anything like me, this advice is really freaking frustrating because it doesn't work. You've probably started many things in the past, and yet, look at you now. You haven't completed anything that you've set out to. And every single time you start again, the ghosts of your failed, given up endeavors come back to haunt you. All of these voices that tell you, why is this time going to be any different? What's actually going to change? And if you're anything like me, you're absolutely sick of this cycle. You're sick of knowing you have all of this untapped potential that's buried within you. And you're sick of going through these cycles where you build momentum, you start making progress, you're working towards your goals, you're stacking wins, and then all of a sudden, what starts to happen? You start overthinking. You question yourself. You question the path ahead. And then, before you know it, it's all crumbled right before your eyes. And yet again, you're back where you started. But even worse, because now you stop trusting yourself again. And now you wait and wait and wait because starting again feels even more horrific. Because you've lost momentum. And that's the hardest thing to rebuild. From zero. From an object in motion stays in motion, but you're not even in motion. And you know what motion feels like. And when you're in motion, you feel incredible. You're on top of the world. You're finally getting there. But then nothing. Then your mental health goes to shit. You start looking in the mirror with the utmost disgust. You become a shell of your former self. And you wonder, how the hell does this happen? And am I doomed to keep spending the rest of my life this way? I've wondered the same thing, my brother. And it's so painful, man. It absolutely sucks to see everything you've worked for and everything you find meaning in just wither away and die right before you. So how do we escape from this purgatory? Because no, we are not doomed to spend the rest of our life like this. What we have to do is fundamentally change our thought patterns. Because right now, every new thing we start, we're trying to accomplish from our current identity. And how's that been going, eh? Clearly, not so good. So how the hell do we start getting new thought patterns if we've lived this way for so long? Well, first things first, let's bring it back to our origin story. Because very likely, if you relate to what I'm saying, you had a very chaotic, very troubled and unstable upbringing. Unfortunately, your parents weren't good role models. They were emotional, completely irrational, just messes of people. They might have tried their best. They probably love us very much, and they thought they were doing what was best, but unfortunately, they messed up terribly. And so, we've developed these ways of thinking, of going from low to high, never just maintaining this stable base, then building upon it. No, it's always down in the dumps to on top of the world, absolutely stagnating with disgusting mental health, with terrible habits, to being the master of the mountain, you could say. But here's the thing. It might have been our parents who messed up our thought patterns growing up, but it's not their responsibility to change. Whose responsibility is it? That's right, it's yours. And I know it can be very, very hard to live with this resentment of the failures of your parents, but here's the thing. If you want to break this generational cycle of trauma and give your children a better life, then you must take responsibility and accountability for yourself. And just let it go. Let all of the resentment, the hatred, the disgust just go. I know it's tough, right? I'm battling with that all the time. But the only way forward is to start proving to yourself that you're not like them. And that all comes from building a stable base of mental clarity. Because you can't build anything from this chaotic turbulence. Believe me, I've tried, and clearly it hasn't worked. Because everything we've tried to do has been laid on a foundation of shit. There's been, remember this Bible parable? If you know about the man who built his house on the rock versus the man who built his house on the sand. And the rains came up, the floods came down, the man's house on the sand collapsed. That's us. We have always tried to build something on a foundation of sand. And it all comes down to our mental clarity, stability, all of these things that cause us to be this ADHD, schizophrenic lunatic. Very likely, whenever you've begun something and you've started making progress, getting in the flow of momentum, you've been driven by excitement, haven't you? There was never any real stillness, was there? You likely hyped yourself up, probably doused yourself full of caffeine, but there's never been this just stillness, has there? And this is a trait that I'm very, very keen to develop. And the only way to develop this stillness is to cut the noise entirely. Stop listening to all of these podcasts and YouTube videos and high dopamine content. Stop scrolling on your phone. Be alone with your thoughts and be okay with being bored. That's literally step number 0. Step number 0 is to clear yourself from all this garbage that you're polluting your brain with. And then step number 1 is to start building the self-trust and discipline through consistent good habits. My favorite way to begin this is to start at the very start of the day, in the morning, in the early hours when it's still dark and no one's awake and you have nothing but pure time by yourself, in which you can become the guy who can actually accomplish your goals. Because right now, what we're doing hasn't worked. Let's be very frank here. We've been trying to chase our goals and build something tangible without changing ourselves on the fundamental level. So right now, just take a breather, okay? I know you have all these ambitions, all right? You might, want to build an epic business of your dreams that gives you the life of freedom that you so desire. You might want to start an amazing, fruitful family to make up for the mistakes of your parents. But right now, I just want you to slow down, take a breather, soldier, because we have to build the right foundations. And that all starts from within. We must develop our character traits first and foremost. Otherwise, even if by some miracle, chaotic series of events we achieve the success we're looking for, there is no guarantee that it won't crumble just like everything else we've built before. So I urge you to spend a season of life, 3 months, 6 months, focused on mastering yourself, truly interrupting all of your negative thought cycles at the very source and rewiring new ones. And like I say, that all starts in the early morning wake-ups. Because first things first, when the alarm goes off, you feel disgusted. You want to turn it off and fall back asleep, but with the very first thing you do that day, you get up and you're already stacking a win. You're already proving to yourself that you are becoming a master of your impulses. And from then on, you can do a morning routine that helps put you into the state that aligns you with the character you must become before you have your commitments, before you go to your 9 to 5 that you want to escape from. So this is things like deep journaling with prompts, not just writing random shit on a page, actually going deep on some questions that you have to answer. Clearing your mind with some breath work and meditation. Doing an immediate, physical, hard thing that you don't want to do that puts you into some deep pain and pushes your mindset. That's where it all begins, but like I say, this is just the foundations we're building. And obviously, doing these habits without any kind of plan or direction, they're just going to feel empty. You're not going to do them with any intention. You're just going to go through the motions and you're not going to gain any benefit from them. And they're going to feel completely empty. So you must set a destination. And like I say, I want you to slow your roll there, soldier. Peel it back a layer. Don't set a goal that is so lofty that it's overwhelming and intimidating, and one that you're likely to give up on yet again. No. Set a goal that works on your physical, because that's one of the most tangible things that you can see progress in and actually start to rewire your thought patterns and accomplish that self-trust that you've been neglecting for so long. For example, this is what I've set. In the next 12 weeks, I plan to get shredded. And I'm talking sexy levels of ripped, beyond which I've never gone before. Because you see, in this cycle of chaos, I've tried to get ripped many times, but very, very quickly, I've given up because I was a gluttonous pig with a terrible relationship with food, and the body dysmorphia kicked in. I couldn't help but think, man, I'm getting really skinny. Oh no, I can't keep cutting. This is too uncomfortable. I have to bulk. Yeah, I have to get bigger first before I cut. And that might be true in some reality, because if you try to get shredded when there's nothing there on the frame, you're just going to look like Gollum. Who wants to look like that, right? But I know that this is a battle that will actually start to rewire my old beliefs, because when I complete these 12 weeks and I'm in the most ridiculous shape I've ever been in, I will have proven to myself that I can set aside all of these thoughts and ideas that take me away from the path, and I can actually set out to complete the goal that I set. What does getting shredded mean? Because that's not the most tangible of definitions. No. I'm going to get to 10% or less body fat. And you might be thinking, based on some photos or videos that you've seen of my physique, that maybe I'm close to there right now anyway. But I'm going to say that most people have no idea what body fat percentages actually look like. Below 10% body fat is ridiculous. A lot of the people, the guys online who say they're 10% body fat, they're a lot closer to 15. I know that's a bit of a tangent, very very irrelevant from the content of this video, but this is just a ramble, isn't it? This is just a raw talk that I'm doing, which gives you a perfect example of the chaos within. And the idea of getting shredded and setting this goal is to still the chaos by actually accomplishing what I set out to do. And then, once that goal is accomplished, we will build upon that win by stacking even more. And I'm not even going to think about what comes next, because that is one of the thought patterns that keep us stuck. We're always looking way too far into the future and trying to reverse engineer every single step of the way. Nah, just breathe. One step at a time, one day at a time, all right? While I'm getting shredded, my goal is to grind the shitty 9 to 5, working 6 days a week. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fulfilling or pleasureful, but it's going to give me the space to completely get away from cheap dopamine and just stay present in mindless menial labor. And obviously this is going to allow me to save money. My goal is to save enough money where I can finally get the coaching and mentorship that I so badly need in order to reach the destination that I'm seeking. And that's my short-term goal. I'm not going to set a medium-term goal, anything like that, because right now I need to get myself into the pattern of tangible wins. And there are micro wins that I have been completing every day. Every single morning when the alarm goes off and I really don't want to do it, that's a micro win. And every single time I don't want to put on a heavy backpack and go for a long walk and it's painful and I want to stop and pause, but I don't, that's a micro win. And all of this serves to build self-trust, but we need to turn those micro wins into a macro win. And that macro win for me is to get shredded. And I'm going to document the journey, and then obviously this is going to make me more valuable, because you probably want to get shredded as well. And when I finally get shredded, I can teach you how to do it in the most mindful, stable, and self-mastered way possible. Not like a TikTok soy boy. Not getting shredded by eating all of these protein pancakes and freaking garbage 20 ingredient products that have low calories but are terrible for your health and will make you feel mentally retarded. But hey, okay, enough rambling. I think it's time to cut the video. You get my point. Set yourself micro wins, macro wins, and forget about your massive big dick goals, and just peel it back to laying the foundations, because the wider the base, the taller the peak will be.